Hey, good evening or good morning, wherever the time may be, and welcome to Believe It or Not. This is the fifth week, and I hope so far that it's going well for you. And understand this: we approach things maybe high expectation, high hopes, and maybe it's not what you thought it would be, or maybe not thinking you're not getting what you wanted to get out of it. And most things I tell myself, if it's I go on a retreat, I go to some sort of convention, some conference, if I can find at least one thing that I could take home, that I could put in practice, it was worth your while. So even with these 6 weeks here, if you can just even grab one thing, one little thing can change your life. Because we spent, I think it was last week, spoke about taking baby steps, and that's a step right there. So one thing. So don't get discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Um, it's hard to have a huge transition just because you attending this program here. But I do hope it's helpful, and did put a lot of time with it. Rick and I getting this together. Anyway, today it's the topic is what it called. It's going to cost. The cost. All right. There's something in it, right? No pain, no gain. Right? If it was easy, everyone would do it. So in our spiritual life, there has to be a price that you pay. Right? There has to be some sort of cost. And so, what is it that in we following Christ? What does it cost me? Where is there a sacrifice? Hey, can I show you this quick video real quick? As I like these little videos. This is a silly little commercial back in the day. I think back in the 80s, it was the Klondike bar, which I happen to like a lot. In fact, I used to walk my dogs. I had my basset hounds, and I would eat the chocolate, and I would give them the vanilla ice cream. But anyway, check it out here.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Would you make monkey sounds?
Monkey sound?
Gee, I don't think so. Got the Klondike right here. Rich vanilla ice cream smothered in thick chocolate. No, that's a baboon. I think you've drifted into gorilla. That's got it.
For that chocolate-coated ice cream, loaded big and thick, no room for a stick. What would you do for a Klondike bar?
You don't have to act like a monkey anymore.
Okay, fine.
Anyway, I like it because it does ask a question. What would you do for a Klondike bar? And the question really for us is, what would you do for Christ? What would you do for your faith? Where's the price? Where is the cost? Because unfortunately, we live in a society that we want to take a pill for everything. We want to lose weight, but we don't want to stop eating the food that we shouldn't eat. Give me a pill to take. Is that right? It's just the way it is. And even in our sickness and illness, we don't want to change our behavior, our lifestyle. We rather just take a pill so we can continue what we're doing. My father, God rest his soul, he had bypass surgery, and he had to keep an eye on his cholesterol, which is quite high. And my dad loved hot dogs. Grew up in New York City. I think he had to take a hot dog over a steak. He loved hot dogs. And I remember seeing him chowing down, not just one, but a couple of hot dogs. I said, Dad, should you be eating that? He said, don't worry about it. I take a pill for my cholesterol. And that's what he looked at it. That's how he saw it. If I can keep eating what I want to eat, just give me a pill. Well, I'm going to say there's no pill for Christianity, for being a disciple. It was something that we got to sacrifice. I remember last week I said about baby steps. So even in the following Christ, the course, it's little things that we give up. I get ribbed, I get joked about my sleeping habits. I tend to get up early in the morning, which means I go to bed probably early. Like kids in kindergarten and first grade, that's sort of my sleeping habits. But I started getting up early. I'm getting like my dad. My dad used to get up real early. I'm thinking, that's strange. Now I'm getting like to be like him. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be my father. So it started from 6 to 5 to 4. Now it's like 3:30. But it just works out better for me. Because I tell you, when we share this, it's made a commitment to spend the first part of the day trying in prayer. And so if I try to pray any other time than the early morning, I wouldn't probably do it. If I try to wait till the evening or night before I go to bed, either I'll be too tired, or there could be a call, or something may come up, and they may be all worthwhile things. So I reason to myself, something? No one usually calls me at 4 in the morning. Typically it's quiet, it's still. And so that's what I had to do. Now with that becomes a, quote, little sacrifice. What does that mean? Well, there's things I no longer watch, and actually I got used to not watching it, but it used to be games or shows and things like that. Or I said, well, no, I can't keep up. I got to go home. Got to get my rest, because that's important to me. That's the sacrifice that I have to make. Now, as an aside, when I say pray in the morning, trust me, my prayer, it's Not that devout. It's what the word is. But anyway, I can get drowsy, get distracted, and so it's not the great things that happen, but it's simply that commitment. So what I really want to say is that because I want to pray, and the best time is early morning, something has to give. There has to be some sort of sacrifice. So I'm asking you, as yourself, do you want to have some time in prayer? I think all of us say prayer is important. Yes, we want to pray. Then what changes in your life will you do for your prayer life? You just can't pray when it's convenient, when you feel like it, or when you want to. Right? It's like sort of jogging. You can't say, well, I'll set the alarm in the morning. When it goes off, if I feel like running, I'll get out of bed and run. If not, I'll just roll over, go back to sleep. You can't do that. You got to make a commitment. Say, every morning at this time, I'm getting up, I'm going to go running. That's it. There's no questions, no wonder. I'm not going to check the weather, whatever it may be. This is my commitment. And so it is even with your prayer life. It's got a cost. There's got to be a price to pay. You got to sacrifice for that. And that's as simple as that. And sometimes we think, and we run away from that. I remember this news story I read back in, it was 1981, up in Minnesota. What happened, there was a car robbery. The guy stole a car, which was bad enough. But the owner of the car began to panic. He had to get his car back. Not because of the value of the car, but in his front passenger seat, he had a box of crackers. But the box of crackers were poisoned with rat poison. To feed his rats with rat poison. And so what was the concern was the driver who's driving this car may see the crackers, and unknowing that there's rat poison, he may eat and consume it, and it'll kill him. So they had to have all these police, send this PB looking, be on the lookout for this one car, not so much to get the car back, but to save this guy's life. And so the same way for us. We're running away from things that we think are harmful or unpleasant, but actually is going to save us. We have to give our lives of discipline, whatever that may be. I just use prayer as an example, but let's start even the most basic, going to Mass on Sunday. Yes, it's a sacrifice. Yes, sometimes you'd rather go to the beach. Yes, you'd rather just stay home. Yes, you'd rather go golfing. But it's a commitment. It's a sacrifice. It has to cost. Something has to cost. And it takes discipline. This fellow he was a teacher, actually. He hurt his back. And so he had to wear this sort of like a cast around his back and across his chest, sort of like a plaster thing, keep it firm so it wouldn't be moving. And he was a teacher, and on the first day of class, he had one of the toughest classes in the school. And so first thing he did when he walked into the classroom, he opened up the window real wide. And there he stood and sort of sitting at his desk, dealing with things on his papers on his desk, and the kids sort of looking at him, sizing him up. So the first day, and this, as I said, reputation being one of the tough, hard-to-handle kids. And all of a sudden, this big breeze came in, and it began, moving his tie. And so what he did, he just got a stapler. He took the staple and he stapled it to his chest. The kid's not knowing that he had a cast. And all of a sudden, let me tell you, when he stapled that tie to his chest, he had no discipline problems for the whole year. No one was going to mess with this guy. So I call that discipline. When you have discipline, it keeps your life in order, keeps your life straight. So I'm asking you right now, what does it cost you following Christ, your faith? What areas there's a price to pay, there's a little pain. And so Lent is a perfect time because we feel a little sacrifice. Maybe coming here for these 6 weeks was a cost for you because there's other things you could have been doing, other things you could have been spending your time. But when Jesus comes first, and he's a priority. Even ministry, we talk about it a lot and a lot of great feelings. But a lot of times, man, it's a sacrifice. People are not going to be grateful, taking advantage of you. There's other things you could do with your time, but we sacrifice by doing that because this is what our Lord asks us. We got to, battle it. We got to fight against it. Fight against the temptation of putting me first, but really putting others first. I couldn't believe when I read this little story. This 80-year-old shepherd in Russia wrestled a bear and fell off a cliff. Imagine that. This poor farmer, his name Yusuf, was out in his blueberry fields, and all of a sudden he was attacked by this bear. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd be petrified to be attacked by a bear. And this guy's 80 years old. But crazy enough, the guy didn't run. He started fighting the bear back. He started hitting it, headbutting it, and kicking it. Well, let me tell you this. The bear won, but he kept put up a good fight. And finally, the bear tossed him over the cliff. Thanks be to God, he didn't get killed. Even that seriously hurt, broke some ribs and bruises and cuts and braces like that, but nothing serious. Thanks be to God. And they spoke to this guy. Said, "What do you think you're doing? You're fighting a bear. We don't recommend it, of course, but you got to fight. You got to fight." And even in our spiritual life, you have to fight against the temptation. You know this? We're not always going to win. Sometimes it feels like we're fighting a bear. So some of our temptations, because some people struggle with things on the internet, the pornography, and we get discouraged, it's like fighting a bear. You can't give in. You got to go at it. That's the course. That's the pain it's got to be, because why we are disciples of Christ. And so now I want you to examine your spiritual life. If it's easy, if it's comfortable, if it doesn't cost anything, then it's not worth anything. So during this week, examine yourself. What sacrifices am I doing to follow Jesus? Where does it hurt? No pain, no gain. So I'll let you go now, and you can do your scripture and your questions. And I thank you once again, and hope to see you next week. God bless you.
You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. Rise, my soul will rest in